Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exclusive experience event hosted by eSAX. I'd like to welcome Katherine Cooligan as our featured guest this evening. So Katherine Cooligan is more than a family law lawyer. She's a trailblazer. She's one of the very few women in a senior leadership role in a national law firm anywhere in the country. She's the only woman at BLG to hold those senior management roles and is one of only 2 women on the firm's National Management Committee. Of the 5 regional managing partners at BLG, she's the only woman. Katherine's success is a true testament to her business acumen, leadership skills, and legal expertise in practice. She develops and leads the strategic business plan for the region, working with each practice group to ensure their activities achieve the firm's overall goals, all while maintaining a busy family law practice and raising her 3 children. As an ardent supporter of the Ottawa community, she's an active board and executive member of the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, CHEO, the Foundation Board, and volunteers annually at the CHEO Telethon and Teddy Bear Picnic. She's a member of Women for Mental Health with the Royal and is on the organizing committee for the Royal's Leaders for Mental Health Breakfast. As evidence of her profile and involvement in the Ottawa community, she was personally invited to join the Ottawa Board of Trade's Capital Build Task Force with the senior group of Ottawa business leaders. On top of her community involvement, she's very active in supporting the legal profession as a guest lecturer at the University of Ottawa's Law School and chair of the monthly Lunch and Learn program for local lawyers, and she's a regular speaker at conferences. Katherine's Ottawa community involvement includes, to name a few, chair of the Women for Mental Health at the Royal. She's a member of the International Women's Forum, a member of the Ottawa Board of Trade, a woman of the Ottawa Women's Business Network, and we have some of her colleagues here. Jessica, thank you. And she's also currently an executive on the CHEO Foundation, and more.
Clearly the new normal is still a struggle for some of us. It's interesting how, it's amazing on the one hand where we can recognize, really how, in what appears to be how easily we transitioned to virtual existence. But what happened tonight is a perfect example. We've had partners meetings where our speaker has, the microphone has dropped and, we can't even get his attention to have him stop, and we're watching and trying to read his lips. So it's just, the reality now is that we're all trying to cope with the different challenges that the virtual world is presenting. But it's amazing that we can come together. Good for you, Jarrod, to continue to do these networking events, because I think it's so critically important that although we can't be together in person, we're still able to connect. Engagement is key at this time. We all are trying our best to function normally. And it takes a village. It takes all of us to be doing these things to make sure that we can come together and make sure that we're supporting one another and also learning from one another, because even as we do these, we learn different tips and tricks of how people are coping, how people are making life more efficient, various things like that. So this is a perfect example of what we went through tonight, but here we are, and I'm really happy to chat with everybody and happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Katherine. Now that we're going into the second phase of opening, how is that affecting the small business owners in particular? Because that's mostly who we deal with eSAX.
Well, this is going to be a very interesting phase. Phase 2 is really the phase where our small businesses are going to be able to start to provide service again. And the key thing there, there are many levels of concerns and challenges, and it's going to be so important that we get this right as a community in supporting our small businesses, and that the small business owners are doing the right thing, because the worst thing that could happen, obviously, is that we contribute to, what people are predicting as another wave. So first and foremost, it's ensuring the safety of everyone. It's ensuring, the appropriate PPE. It's ensuring the appropriate methods for entry and exit. the social distancing, making sure that every business and everyone who is engaged with that business is complying with the protocols for safety. That is number one. And of course, we're seeing that a lot of businesses are advertising that right off the bat and saying, we're opening and this is what we're doing to keep our staff and you safe. So that's number one, obviously. I saw something on, I think it was on Facebook today, and it's something that we all need to read. It was really to the patrons who are going out and, we'll be visiting the patios this weekend, hopefully, and how important it is that we as patrons recognize that while we are thrilled to be back into that environment, there are still challenges for the people who are working there. And so it was a list of recommendations, conduct, I would say, not to make jokes about the masks, to make sure that you do as much as you can to speed the service, order everything all at once, think in advance, have your meal, enjoy your meal, and move on, recognizing that, the business will survive if it is able to have enough traffic. And if somebody is sitting there and occupying a table and they're just socializing, that's money that is being lost for a business that is paying its employees, that's paying all of its expenses, and that has suffered economically for the last several weeks. So there are many things that we can do to support our small businesses. And one of the things that is great to see is the commitment that everybody is making to supporting local. And we see that, we see all of the promotion that is being done on that. And I think that is so critical. When I look at what this city has done to support us, to support the community, it's exceptional. You look at what the Royal Ottawa Hospital did to immediately jump to provide, additional mental health services to people who obviously needed it, because, this is such a trying time. Those who suffer from mental health were struggling even more, and those who maybe hadn't had that experience before certainly began to. We see the Ottawa Board of Trade. The Ottawa Board of Trade has been exceptional in sharing information, in providing, obviously advocating for our small businesses, but also in making sure that we know what the city is doing, what it is that we should be doing to support our local community. And of course, keeping us up to date with all of the different phases and protocols. Yeah. I think that, the messages that they've sent have been very, very useful.
Yeah, and all of the, the city and the Ottawa Public Health are saying the situation is changing quite regularly. And who do you look to for guidance? The Ottawa Board of Trade is an excellent opportunity, the city itself. And Katherine, actually, we have a question from Suzanne Verge. She's a litigation paralegal. She owns her own business. And would you happen to have any ideas on when the civil courts will be opening again?
Yes. Okay. Now that's one that's right up my alley. I'm on our local bench and bar committee. I'm also on, the provincial committee that is talking about how to go about reopening. And when I say reopening, I have to be very clear. The courts are open for business. However, we are not allowed to be there physically. The Chief Justice announced 2 weeks ago that there was an anticipatory date of, I believe it's July 9th, that we would start being allowed back into the courtrooms. But the reality is that we will be doing virtual hearings for many months to come. We haven't yet had any determination on jury trials. It's very unlikely that we are going to see them anytime soon. But the court is open and cases are being heard. We are still doing discoveries virtually, and you can get motion dates. The issue right now is trials. The courts are being trained, the judges and staff are now being trained on virtual platforms so that we can be doing all of our litigation virtually. So we'll be seeing more and more of that. And I'm a family law lawyer, so I know here in Ottawa, our family law cases as of August 20th, all new cases can be started. We have been able to start cases, but we haven't been able to set new court dates. So the courts are open, and we're going to see more and more availability for hearings as our judges and staff become trained on the virtual platforms.
Yeah, and there's always a learning curve, as we all know, and especially for something as novel, something as new as the virtual, for those who might not be used to it. Katherine, we have another question from Brad over at BrewDonkey. Can you tell us if there has been an increase in the number of prenuptial agreements being drawn up or being used at this time? I mean, putting your family law hat on.
The question could be, is there an increase in separations? No, there has not. In my experience, there has not been an increase in prenuptial agreements at all. But I'm going to tell you that I've had a lot of new clients over the last several weeks. And it's an interesting, there are all the jokes, about, how at the end of this, people really are going to realize that, they don't like their spouse after all, when they have to spend so much time with them. But the reality is that our families are affected by this. It's 24/7, and those who are working from home, have young children, the burden is great, and the adjustment is great. And so I really can't say whether the increase in, I shouldn't even say that it's an increase, but I would say it's the same pace of new clients. And I can't say whether it's COVID related or not, but I do think, I'm serious about this, I do think that there will be an increase in separations because, like anything that is a major transition in your life, and this is one of them, we are all re-examining a lot of things as a result of this. And along with that, often you re-examine the relationship you're in.
Yeah, and talking about such a disruption, I mean, for so many years, people have had the side hustle, right? They have the day job, they rely on it, but they do it their passion on for fun. Would you have any thoughts, Katherine, on how important having a side hustle is? Because now you can't really take your day job for granted, well, depending on what industry you're in.
So a side hustle, you mean in the sense of having fun?
Having fun, making some money on the side from perhaps your hobby or something you've always wanted to do.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, I think it's critical that we are able to expand our focus and take our attention off of the stress that is coming with this new normal. And for sure, I mean, if people could, one of the things that we all talk about is how all of a sudden bread making has become such a big hobby for people. And who knows, we might find that some people will love it so much that they'll take it on as a side hustle.
Yeah, there's actually always, there seems to be quite a run on flour these days.
That's it. Flour and yeast apparently are very hard to come by. But I think that, what it's doing, one of the things is that, we're getting back to basics where people are, making meals at home, learning how to cook. I bet there's a big pickup on videos about how to make different meals and things like that. One of the things that we're doing at BLG is that we have an engagement group, and we are very, very committed to engaging all of our people. And one way we're doing that is that we're doing cooking videos. So our whether it's our professionals, our business services staff, they're sending around videos of, the meals that they're making. So, I think that we're doing a lot of different things now, and it's a really good thing because, the reality is this is great to be here and networking, but we are spending a lot of time in front of a screen. And you can spend, I've been working since early this morning, as I'm sure everybody else, and we've been sitting at the screen, and here we are again. And that's one reason that in some ways it's hard to get people to be engaging in these networking events in the evening because people are screen exhausted. And that's another reason that it's great to do something that's going to get you out. One of the things we're doing too is we're walking across Canada. So all of our offices across the country are participating, and we're posting pictures and logging our kilometers walked to hopefully do the full distance from one end to the other.
Actually, that's a great point, Kathy. I did a video the other day about, I'm exploring the forest near my house. I'm averaging about 18,000 steps a day now. And I wouldn't have had the time and otherwise to do this. And I challenged people. I said, look, when you look back at your time at COVID, was it just sitting behind your computer, cleaning your car, cleaning your house, or were you doing something more productive for your health?
The reality is that, it's amazing what we have seen in terms of small businesses being able to pivot and expand, change, their service offerings. So for example, when the restaurants couldn't, they were still doing delivery, food, takeout, but a lot of them started selling produce, selling other items that were not in their normal offering. And it's an example of how, you really do jump into action. And in a lot of ways, that helped a lot of people. They ordered their meal and then they were able to get their groceries. They didn't have to go to the grocery stores. And so there's a lot of opportunity. As much as there are challenges with this for small businesses, there's a lot of opportunity as well.
Right. Kathy, what would you say would be some of the major successes over at BLG these days? I mean, it's nice to hear from, business leaders talking about some of the successes. It might help encourage more of the community that way.
So I would say, so the successes that we've had really, I would say number one is our engagement and making sure that we are still in touch with our staff. We are providing internally, we provide virtual counseling, we have wellness seminars. We are doing something every week. And I've given you a few examples of some of the engagement things that we're doing. And then for our clients, we have obviously, from a legal perspective, things have changed significantly. And at the very beginning, you can imagine with with layoffs and salary reductions, the amount of advice that our employment law group was involved with. And so what we're doing is we are hosting many information sessions for our clients on all of the various different issues. And as you said, this is happening fast. It's changing fast. And that gives us a lot of opportunity to be providing advice to businesses, to our clients on the things that they need to know, things that they can do in many ways, both in terms of ensuring that they're delivering to their clients and also making sure that they are doing what they need to be doing to protect themselves.
Sure.
So I would say, we have I believe now our staff, are very receptive to the messages that I send, and I hear great things back when we do anything. So I believe that we've been very successful in making sure that we still feel that we're one team, and that we are looking after one another, and that we are really being very quickly responsive and proactive with our clients by delivering virtual events. Now, and the thing is that it's not in our own city anymore. People from across the country, people from outside of the country can participate in what we're offering. So we're really trying to deliver service in that way as much as we can.
Where do you see the future being in 6 months or a year from now? How is that are we going to go back to normal events? Are we going to have NHL hockey teams? Like, let's put your crystal ball in. What do you think?
So I don't think that we're going to be having large gatherings within the next 6 months. Within the next year to 18 months, I certainly hope so. Obviously everybody is waiting for a vaccine, and until we can protect, everybody and keep everyone safe who are attending these large gatherings, it's risky. And I really don't think that it's something that we're going to be endorsing. It's great to see now, even just the excitement in, now the gathering size being expanded to 10 people, the patio is opening, people being thrilled about the salons opening, all the different things that are happening now. And I think that's going to continue and it's going to grow. But to get to the point where we have, large gatherings, I really don't see that happening in the next year. I don't. But things are changing fast. The vaccine is the critical point for us to be able to really know that we can get back to the old normal. But one of the things that I do believe we're going to see that's going to continue is that I think we're going to be doing a lot more virtually, and we're not necessarily, like if we're driving to board meetings and we're going across the city, we might not be doing that anymore. People may be taking advantage of the reality that people are now equipped, comfortable. If they can get their system working, they can participate in these things. So I really do think that there will be some benefits that come from this, that we are going to be more efficient in our use of time.
I absolutely agree with you.
And,
I mean, when I sat down...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, please continue.
Well, I was just saying, we're downtown. Our office is downtown on Queen Street in World Exchange. And, the parking down there, like with the LRT and all the construction all the time, it's very hard. And, it was hard for clients to come down sometimes. And it was hard for us to host some events in our office because of parking. Well, here's a perfect example where now we're used to having our client meetings like this. And clients will probably appreciate not having to be driving downtown and parking. So there's an example of how there are benefits that can come from
absolutely. And after the first week or so of the isolation, I sat down and I thought how much more productive I'm being, not having, because I live in Orleans, not having to go to Brook Street or all over the city for events and avoiding rush hour and getting there 2 hours early. I'm probably saving 5 or 10 hours a week by not being stuck in traffic, which now I'm making the most of it by going for walks in the forest. But another question I had, Kathy, was what do you think is going to happen with some of the businesses? Like, do you think landlords are really going to play hardball and actually evict people? Like, that's a tough one, right? Because they're entrepreneurs themselves.
Well, they're not allowed. I mean, they're not allowed right now. It's these are the calls that businesses are going to have to make. They're going to have to make the call about, and it's going to be like every business decision. This is a business decision. Like anything else, and whether they take a hard line, what reputation are they going to have? What will the cost-benefit analysis be for what the residual damage might be outside of, economic? That will end up rippling and become an economic impact to them. So it's really hard. I don't see, I have to say that in with the exposure I've had to how businesses have operated right now, is that everyone really is trying their best. I mean, I haven't heard too many horror stories at this point, fortunately, and I'm really hoping that that's the case. I really think that this is a time when we all need to come together and recognize that the pain needs to be shared. And, it's a business decision, as I say, and the decision you make has consequences.
Right, absolutely. Actually, before we get to the two questions, I want to mention something. You mentioned quickly about the LRT. Well, I don't think the LRT haps or mishaps are on anybody's radar these days. At least they're getting the construction done. We have a question from Brad. Kathy, how are you relaxing these days?
Brad. Well, let me just say that this is a good time to, everybody talks about the line. We relax. The one thing everyone's saying is at the end of this, we're all going to have gained weight and we'll all become alcoholics.
But the LCBOs were open almost from the beginning.
Well, that's it, right? So I just moved in the middle of this, actually. I sold my house on April 8th. So we had quite the fun trying to move during a pandemic. So I have to say there's not a whole lot of time for relaxation at this point. However, we just moved on to Dow's Lake. So as I look out the window, I see what used to be the tulip beds and Dow's Lake. And the marina is now open. So we've just made arrangements to put our boat in there. So I plan, we plan to be spending some evenings out along on the canal and on Dow's Lake. But there hasn't been a whole lot of relaxation yet, Brad, but soon we hope.
Not yet. Thank you, Kathy. We have another question from Suzanne. For the businesses that don't qualify for some of the government funding or the loans, would you happen to know, is the city helping out with any of those businesses?
I don't know the answer to that question, Jarrod, and I don't want to guess. My advice would be to the coverage of all of our regional things with the Ottawa Board of Trade, the Ottawa Business Journal. It's very timely, and so I would recommend looking to them for that information. I don't have the City of Ottawa's steps on that at this. I really don't know, and I don't want to guess.
Kathy, do you have any last closing thoughts about anything we talked about, or even some of the things we haven't?
No, the only thing that I would say is, is to use grace in everything that you do. Always, as we get back out there, I think we're going to have, people have been cooped up too long, and who knows what behavior will be like. I just hope that, we can be examples of supporting one another, the amazing city that we are, supporting our local businesses, making sure that we always understand that, everybody's going through a hard time, and even just a smile. Now, we won't be able to see them behind the masks, but you can smile with your eyes too. Just remember, to use grace in everything that you do. I think that, we all can do that, and we all deserve that.
I think that's very wise. I mean, I see it all the time when I'm going for my walks. I always say hi to everybody, and sometimes they look at me like I'm from Mars. But being reflective and realizing that we're all going through this, I think that's a very wise point. And, just understanding that the business owners are stressed when you go to a small business to try to support local, and maybe they're having a bad day. We're all having bad days sometimes, but just realizing and just trying to be patient and realize that we're going to get through this. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to give a plug for shopottawa.com. So shopottawa.com is a platform where local businesses can sign up, and it's free to sign up, and it has grown. It's interesting, since the pandemic started, it's grown because people really are focusing on local. And a friend of mine, Suzanne Sear, she's just started a new business called Ottawa Sanitary. .com, and she's selling products, the masks and hand sanitizer. And if you're buying, go local. There's an example. I'm just throwing that out there because I happen to be speaking to her today. But there's a lot of things that we can do locally. So I'd say, let's make sure we have a strong, vibrant community. Let's support it.